Colonel Plum?
I am.
Alrighty. Well, I hear you're here to meet parents and so forth.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Alright, so, well, before I speak, I guess, other than what you guys, I was here when you guys were here a couple weeks ago. Can you fill me in further on the transparency of what occurred and why the leadership here was relieved?
Well, it's basically, since they're personnel issues, I can't get into the meat and potatoes of why, okay? The general answer is the lack of confidence in the leadership, okay?
And where does that lack of confidence come from? Does it come from the higher up, like yourself, or does it come from the actual parents?
Well, it comes from the Civil Air Patrol side of things the squadron needs to be doing. It comes from the integrity of what we call logistics or property management. We haven't really, that's kind of the big thing. There's some interpersonal issues that happened, not necessarily with me, but just happened in general, okay?
And those interpersonal, so I apologize for interjecting every now and then, but I need to, when you have a response, I have to respond to it in that moment.
Sure.
So when you say interpersonal issues, are those interpersonal issues with the leadership here and the parents, or leadership issues with other leadership within the CAP?
Well, yeah, it has more to do with the running of the unit. Okay. So let me put it this way. So kind of the backlash, if you will, and everybody being mad, okay, and the members of the unit kind of shoveling coal on those being mad, okay. I'm the wing commander, okay. I serve at the pleasure of the region commander and the national commander. They can relieve me at any time they want. And I go, okay. Now, I got three choices, or two choices. I can go, okay, and keep my membership and find something else to do, or I can get mad and quit. Which is it, right? So this organization is not there's all this rhetoric about, what happened, it was knee jerk, it was this, it was that. It was not, okay? This thing's been in the works for a while, okay? We've worked to try to solve problems, okay? So when it came down to it, well, why did we have to do this? Well, because this was the solution that we came up with.
If it's been in the works for a while, then were there clear, defined measurements of what they need to do? So let's say this has been in work for 6 months, 9 months. Were there clear, defined directives from upper chain of command that said, hey, in order for you guys to get square one,
I'll say it this way. So when you're the commander of a unit, okay, you have to function within the scope of the regulations of the organization.
They made commanders, so yes.
Right?
Yep.
So when those things don't happen, then okay, why didn't that happen? And when you get no answers, or you get answers that may not be the best answer, well, at some point you run out of options of, it's just. Let me say, I don't know what you do for a living, but if you're a policeman and people are speeding, like we tolerate 5 miles an hour, we tolerate 8, we tolerate 10, maybe. Now you get 11. Oh, now we're gonna give you a ticket. Well, why is 11 the magic number, right? Like, can you just give me a warning? And so, but we know the law. The law says posted speed limit is 55, 65, 70, whatever it is. Well, when we don't follow those directions, at some point there's going to be a consequence. Okay, and so I put these two gentlemen in charge because they have extensive CAP experience. Everybody's losing their mind about we don't know them, right? And my question to you is, well, how well did you know the folks that were here before you first came or brought you your son or daughter? Okay. So we have a stringent, we put our senior members through, the background checks and all of that.
100% agree.
And we're all volunteers. Okay,
100%
I don't get a
agree.
nickel,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so all the energy and everything and all of that, all of these people here are, myself included, everybody that runs the wing. We have one paid employee, and we share her with the Oregon wing, and that's where she is, our wing administrator. But everything else volunteers do in this organization.
So, again, I guess I go back towards where when I've run, and I run many organizations, I'm a commander of different groups as well as my service to the country. And I know that when there are directives given, policies, directives, and if someone's not measuring up to their certain goals, you have meetings with them. You have conference discussions saying, hey, you're not here. We need you here. The guidelines say you need to be here, but you're not. You're not meeting these things. Did you do that with this group?
I can't talk about what I did or didn't do.
Okay,
Okay.
so
And I don't want to.
why can't you talk?
Well,
about it?
because those are between me and them. Those are issues that are between me and the members. Okay, and then the individual member. I cannot talk about personnel issues.
Okay.
Okay?
So I guess my next question is, from some of the feedback I got, was that when, I think it was you and the other individual who came the initial time, was that a question was asked to you, why are you doing this? And your response at the time was, because I can. Was that a legitimate statement you made?
Well, that's part of it.
But was that a legitimate statement?
Yeah, and so, everybody wants to, there again, we're like, do I really need to drag people through the mud? Do I really need to tell you all the things? Like, luckily, we don't have any cadet, we know of, there's no cadet protection issues that we know of. Okay,
that was good.
And
I brought that up.
Yes,
and honestly, the reaction that's happening, like if the cadets are truly upset about it, like, why would they, like, people they see 2 hours a week-ish? Hey, I've been a squadron commander, I've ran units. I've had cadets that I knew outside, but we weren't that close, okay? And so that gives me, I'm not accusing anybody of nothing, okay? I'm just saying that I don't know, luckily we don't have that issue that we know of. Because I don't know that. But the issues we do have are at a fundamental level that the unit was not functioning the way it should.
But
okay?
the
The
ones you
commanders
still
were
can't
not
discuss
doing the
with
things
people.
they should.
And you still can't discuss that at this point.
And I cannot talk about that.
I would have to tell you that, so I've been, other than my service years, I've been a part of this community most of my life. And her father as well. And her father was one of the commanders and leaders here for a long time. And
Proctor.
Oh, Dave Proctor?
Dave Proctor, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so there is a legacy here at the CAP squadron, a legacy of good leadership that as it passed forward, people were like, okay. And the CAP, I was even an officer here for a short bit, but then my life kind of expanded and I wasn't here very long. But the leadership here was at least on the cadet level, maybe not from a squadron or whatever level, but from a cadet level and the parents level, everybody was like, wow, this is an amazing group. You teach my children. Matter of fact, there was people here, parents here just a few weeks ago that were like, my kid came from this weak, mild personality to boom. And I witnessed that with her father, who I served with, but with my own leadership here as well as just having friends in the community that were like, wow, these cadets do this, they do this and this.
So-
And I'm not saying perfection by any means, right? We all know that. There's issues all the way around because they're still kids.
They should be learning.
Right, they're learning.
You're learning.
But now I will get to a point where I run and am in charge of a very larger group of nonprofits here in this town. And our fundraisers, one of them gives to here. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
We give our donations to this group, specifically to make sure that these cadets are honored, respected, and given these finances that we donate to you from another nonprofit to make sure that these kids are taken care of and do whatever they may do for classes, et cetera, et cetera. And now, because of this shakeup, at whatever level discussion that you want to label it as, it has made waves to not only myself, but I'm part of other, matter of fact, we just left a nonprofit group, a fundraiser tonight. We left it and some other people are going, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Matter of fact, tonight is what they call the Fremont Area Big Give. You guys probably don't know what that is. It is our biggest nonprofit donation day of the whole entire year. In 24 hours, matter of fact, by the time we left, they were at $400,000 raised for the 85 nonprofits in this area. I surely
I
don't.
do know about it, I knew about it, but everything I kept getting was, I knew already about it from previous members that were here.
So what I'm
But-
saying is, we're that at this event, and several people are like, hey, I hear, right?
Yeah.
So you get all this stuff going on, and they're like, what are you guys gonna do about it? And I'm like, well, this year, nothing, right? So if it's that, if we're connected by it, and now you have this whole entire area, and you have, again, at this point, by the time we left, $400,000 was already raised. It's like CEP could have got a chunk of that, and may in future if something. But people were asking questions: what do we do with our money?
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Seriously, as a donor, and,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for donating to this organization and to the squatter. But why would you make the cadets suffer from not giving your donation just because of something that happened at a higher level here that required, these two here are great with the cadets?
Okay, so great question. Thank you very much for that. I don't want anything to happen to these cadets. I love them all. All right, and we're connected to several of them by a personal.
No, understandable,
yeah, no, I get it.
And I don't want to, but exact same point was, I don't know, for example, which I mentioned 2 weeks ago, here's my money. How do I know, how can I trust it that you are gonna do my donation and you're gonna utilize that donation in a way that benefits these cadets? I don't know that visibility level.
Let me address that.
Yep,
That was the week we were talking about the one cadet that needed to get paid for
Yep.
the.
Oh, we got it.
I
You
took
took
care of that.
yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard about that.
I got pushback from the senior members here.
What was the pushback?
Pushback was, we can't do that. We can't authorize that because he hasn't changed any finance committee people. Well, and I told them that until he does make a change, the existing group is the ones that make the determinations. And then there was absolutely no response for 2 days. I called him and I told him he needed to make a change so that we could get this done.
You took care of the other two as well?
I only knew about
I only know
one.
about one, I only knew about one, if there's others.
If there's
please-
others, if
please
there's two
let me
others,
know.
I need to know about it so I can
Yeah,
get
we
taken
need
care
to get
of.
taken care of, and we need to make sure, cause we'll,
See,
Dunn was
Yeah.
the single.
Dunn was the
our
one that I knew
goal-
about, and we took care of that because he's actually going to the same event.
So here's the
Sorry.
thing, I guess I can't, I'll put the other stuff aside
Sure.
to add on to what you said, from a donor perspective. We need to make sure that our donation to this group is very transparent,
Yes.
and that is going to what the cadets need on all the levels, and making sure that they can care, and not utilize for, I guess, I get it, again, being in charge of nonprofit groups, I know there's administrative this, I have to buy, this.
Sure, that's a whole
I get all,
different.
that's a whole new ballgame. But when a donor gives, in the way that we give, we wanna make sure that it's transparent and taking care of what they need to take care of.
I can tell you exactly how we can do that. And you may not have been told this before, but if you make the donation and you restrict it to usage for, say, scholarships or for specific things, then that's the
Like
only
training,
way, that's the
encampments,
only
whatever.
way we
Training
can
is a big part.
spend that money that you donate.
Yep,
It's
if
actually
you
notated in
spell
the
out
records.
exactly,
Yep.
so you can only use this money for training for X, Y, Z. That is exactly it, and
And
it has to be put
that
in
means
way.
it cannot be spent for cups, it can't be spent for water, it can't be spent for anything else but those specific things. But that, when you make that donation, needs to be specific at the time of that donation.
Well, so I guess at this point, we have an issue where, as you know, the way things were handled, whether or not the perspective within this group, believe it or not, you remember cadets were here, right? I was not physically here that night, but I believe every leadership I've talked to, the cadets were here. So they heard everything that was going on, transpiring, because that little wall is not gonna cover it.
Let me just say, so, you know, the big problem was, like, you know, my time is limited. Right? So my ability to come up here and do things is you know, is precious. Okay, I got a family, I got a job, I have 12 other squadrons running the wing, all this people all over the place. So, you know, when we came to do this, you know, okay, it's their open house. So we stood around and we waited until it was over. And then I said, I need to talk to the senior members. And I said, we're gonna make this change. Well, the yelling was from over here, right? When I tried to give an answer, well, then just yell some more. And there were people, you know, there was language, colorful language being
For calling
used.
things space.
Effity this and effity that. That was not, like, he didn't say a word.
Sure, give me a
He
moment
didn't
here,
say
I'll
a
take
word.
look at that,
The
okay?
other senior member
So can you tell me
didn't say,
the-
I said,
So tell me
this
what
is
you're
what
doing.
we're doing.
or what it's not
We're doing these things. Well, blah, blah, you know, you can't. Yes, we can, and we are. You know, I'm not confrontational as a rule. Chuck here one time got excited in a meeting, and
I've yelled at him.
like, you know, I don't know if
Okay.
you've seen him standing up yet, but, you know, he's kind of a big fellow. So, you know, but I'm like, but what he was going on was that much deserved because it was mounted frustration from years past, okay? So, you know, I'm trying to solve a bunch of problems in this wing that I can't get into, right? Because I was asked to, okay? So,
Were you
When-
were you asked to by local, or we're talking above you?
well, it's the national, it's stuff that's by the national organization. It's non-conformance to the regulation, it's non-conformance to what needs to be done. And, you know, like I said, I can't get in the middle of it. You said, well, the people here have been great and they've helped these cadets succeed, okay? Well, those books laying on the table over there are the cadet program, okay? Every unit across the nation teaches out of that book, okay? Out of all of those books. Every unit goes, but we utilize our core values, okay? We have our cadet flight plan. We have our charts of what things they have to accomplish. So there are thousands of volunteers across the country that run these programs. And I'm not, and you know, our goal wasn't to run off the membership here. That wasn't our goal. Our goal was to get this unit to function within the scope of the regulations and do the things it needed to do. And
How could this unit be able to receive the achievements that they received just within this last year?
The 2024.
well, some of that had to do with before I took command. Okay, so some of that was some legacy stuff that and you know what, the awards, those awards, you run a unit, like you got when you hand out awards, most of the time it's somebody handed you a piece of paper nominating somebody for an award. Some awards you get one nominee, some you get 50. I don't know, I wasn't involved in that process, believe it or not, because I just wasn't, okay? So, but having, your best interest is like, how do we know you have our cadet's best interest?
If it does it again,
Well,
I'm gonna put a ticket in, so you're.
All I can say is, I do.
And
A lot of times
And-
awards,
and, you know,
they're only seeing the paper, they don't see,
Okay, just call me after.
you know, so if the paper says
Thank you so much.
we soar
Well,
above the
so-
clouds, and in reality, we're not really
So,
there.
so you have a conflict, you have a conflict going on. Let's say that I was an officer here, okay? And, on paper, we're getting all these awards. And we're under the impression for whatever X time frame that we're clicking along the way things should, right? Because upper echelons, command structure, has not gotten with me and said, hey, you know what, 6 months ago, this would go, 10 years, you know, whatever it may be, you guys aren't doing this piece of the pie in a proper way.
Sure.
If I'm not aware of that, how am I gonna fix
Okay,
that?
let me say it this way. Let's say this job was let's say it was whatever it is, and it was logistical property, not a consumable. Logistical property. And it's on your property list. And you say, well, we don't know where it's at. You go, okay, so we assign somebody to do an investigation to find out, well, what happened to it? Where'd it go? Who had it last? All those things, and you go through it, magically, nobody knows where it is. Okay, so we take it off the rolls. And we go, well, gee whiz, boy, they were the last ones to have that. And then you come in and do an inspection, and you go, oh, there it is, right there on the counter. Why did you report that wasn't there? And why did you send me information that says you swear up and down you didn't know where it was? But there, could be. I've been in this building many times. Okay, so you don't know this because I've been coming up here for 23 years now. Okay? I run the Flight Academy in the summer. I've ran that the last 18 years. Okay?
So
I
are you
spent-
telling me that 23 years of this?
All I'm saying is I've come to this town for 2 weeks out of the year for 23 years. Okay, but my point is, when you do the inspection and you find stuff that folks said was missing, and they swear up and down they didn't know where it was, and it's just sitting on the counter.
So piggybacking off of her, where I believe she was going, was how long have these issues been apparent to you, and are we talking only a few months or years?
Months.
Are we talking
Well,
about
I've
a long,
I've
long
been in
time?
command of the wing since July 6th of 2024. Some of this stuff was
So July 6th of
predates me.
2024, and
It
you
predates
knew
me,
about
but
any
you know
of
what,
this stuff,
Right.
why would you not make sure that this unit, squadron, whatever you want to call it, was in queue to what you needed for it to be so
How do you
it can
know
pass?
I didn't do that?
We're asking you.
We're
I
asking
did.
you.
I did. And anybody says that we didn't, well, that's their opinion. Okay? But I can't prove it to you. All I can do is tell you. Okay?
So you
And-
have no paperwork to back up.
I do. But I can't show it to you.
Correct.
Well, I'm
Correct.
not asking you to show it to me.
Information.
Correct.
Everybody wants something that I
get.
can't give them, but I'm the bad guy.
Oh, no, I trust me.
And so
We're
I'm
not jumping you,
know,
so you
we're
can
kinda
chill
going around
out.
in a circle
Trust-
here.
yeah, trust
I'm,
me.
I'm not
Nope.
at some point we're just gonna have to agree that we don't agree on the words we're using.
I trustfully, I understand clandestine crap.
You
Believe
know,
me.
it's
And I get it, I understand that, but the point is now collectively is end this conversation on this. This squadron here is loved by the community. And there are many parents and kids and other parties like ourselves who have a lot of huge investment in here. From
I
the
have a
legacy-
huge family
from the
that's
legacy of her
invested into
family
this.
On all the way through. And so I don't know how you guys bring this back. I really don't have the answer for you. I know that the existing family that we have here, the existing family, which is the kiddos and the family members themselves, and mother, fathers, etc., In the extended family, which is individuals like ourselves, with relationship, we're connected. So now that connection feels broken. Here's the mother, right? There's the mothership we're at, and now it's like we're all on the outside. And how do we bring that in to where we can keep a functional squadron here?
Well, that's what these two gentlemen
I
are
I
gonna
don't-
do.
We
And-
have
and-
reached out to the existing members of the senior staff, asking for help, and we get no response, nothing. And,
Well, right
You
now
know,
they're
But
kind of
Kelly,
shut
here's the
down.
deal. Here,
well, we're
this is-
not,
this
that's
is-
the problem.
This
If
is
they-
not personal
we
from our
move
side.
forward, we can keep the squadron here. And we're hoping to keep all the senior members that are willing to follow the regulations here and let them eventually take over.
Even the
So
two
that-
you let go?
We haven't let anybody
All
go.
I did was relieve them from being the commander
From
and the
existing
deputy
commanders.
commander. They didn't lose their membership. I never told anybody they couldn't come to the building. I did say, hey, we need the keys to the building because
That's a structural
when I made him the
protocol. I get
commander,
protocol.
he's now responsible for all the equipment. So if everything magically disappears, when I made him the commander before he could do doing it, he's responsible. So we had to secure the place
Protocol.
until the inventory was done. So there was never I never stated to anybody.
But how
couldn't
you
come.
guys are gonna come back from
Well,
this?
you talked about the mother.
It's very frustrating.
The mother is Civil Air Patrol.
Correct, that's
Right.
Yeah.
That's and you know the Civil Air Patrol program's been around 80 plus years.
Hello.
And I've seen squadrons
Are you recording?
come
I am.
and
Okay.
go. I've seen squadrons dwindle to one
You're not
cadet
media, are you?
and grow
No.
to 120 cadets.
I am Dave Proctor's daughter.
So, we're volunteers, we're all volunteers, I respect all volunteers. But when we sign the dotted line that says, I will abide by the rules and regulations of the organization, I will follow the command of the folks in charge, I go, okay, I bought into that, okay? So that's what we're doing. And I wouldn't, I got a lot of,
I don't have
let
an
me
answer
say
for you
this,
guys.
let me say this.
I know.
There's other places I could be tonight,
100%, yeah.
right? But and I'm not bragging or,
No.
Now,
But I'm
all
just
of us
saying,
could be
We
someplace
left
else.
the banquet.
it's
No, I
this
understand.
important, it's this important to me, okay? And the program is this important to me. So this was not done willy-nilly, this was not a knee-jerk reaction. There was a lot of thought that went into this problem. I tried a couple of avenues to solve it another way, and I was rebuked in those things. And at the end of the day, you would, I don't know. My point is this: there's a lot of people around the country that used to be from around here that have called me and said, "You did what? Wow! Finally, somebody had the nerve to do something to square a problem away." Okay, so I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not accusing anybody. It's just what we have to do, and we're going to make this go forward. Because this unit, it's part of the community. It's more than one person.
It's gonna be difficult, and sorry, sir, I'm gonna stop you, but jump in here in a minute. But it's gonna be extremely difficult to come back from this. With the connective unit structure and family network that you have now, is gonna be very difficult. And without that right now, again, to your point with, let's take all my other hats on the side and just do the financial hat that we have. It's gonna be very difficult because I want to support these cadets.
Okay.
They're all like my sons
No,
and daughters.
I understand that.
And we wanna make sure they're taken care of, but without the cohesive family network that now has left the motherhood, it's gonna be very difficult to figure out how do we do that.
I'm gonna tell you, these guys don't wanna interrupt that cohesive familyness. They do not. Okay? Yes, it was interrupted, yes, it's taken a hit.
And that's my fault. If you wanna
but
blame
that's not their
somebody,
fault.
I'll take it out on that.
So,
That's
how we fix it? You ask how we fix it. We fix it by people like you and her and the other parents not getting behind these folks and helping these guys move it forward. Ensuring our cadets
Put your
that
face on media.
media's not, but ensuring our cadets that they're in good hands with these two. And they are.
I mean, when's the last time the paper wrote an article about the?
How?
I just.
How is that difficult for you to get behind
No,
that?
I get that part, but we don't have kids right now.
No, I understand that.
We don't.
But you are connected to
We
the
are
community,
connected.
right?
We are.
You're
absolutely.
connected to these
Hugely.
parents. You
Yes.
said it several times.
100%.
We have a
So
robust
why
senior
can't we
member
get
program.
you-
Y'all could be senior members.
To help
You
us
be the
talk to
commander.
these parents.
And to answer your question, the paper was here at the day of this
Well, I
event.
understand that, but my question is.
And before
why
that,
are
they were
when there's
here
turmoil and
when
not
y'all
cool stuff
got
going on?
when y'all got the awards,
But
they were here.
nobody-
It was in the
nobody-
paper.
Nobody cares when there's cool stuff going on. They only want to cut.
No, I'm
People
shutting you
only
down
want
right
to be
now.
involved
They
when
were
there's
here
cool mad.
when you guys got the awards. This place got the
Okay,
awards. It hit the
But
paper.
I'm from Lincoln. We're usually a small community. We don't involve the media. We involve our parents. I'm in contact with our parents almost weekly. And with my donors, and all that. Okay? So why do we need the media? Why do we need the general public to know? Word
Because a
mouth
lot
is
of
good
people are
enough,
not
right?
connected like that.
Well,
We're hugely connected with the community and the.
you're hugely connected with the community, so word of mouth here will spread like wildfire, correct?
That
Correct.
and get on the radio.
Well,
That's exactly
why
how
at
they do
this
it.
event tonight,
For recruiting and
reason
stuff,
why
yes,
I-
we can get in the media and
the reason
and
why
that.
we came here tonight was because we were at this event, which is a huge fundraising event. Again, 400,000 plus by now, before
sit down and
that.
talk with these gentlemen,
And
and find out what they're
It's
about.
like, and everybody was coming up going, "Hey, did you-
Okay.
what? And I'm
So,
like, I don't
You're
know.
catching
I
it
don't
from
have.
third party,
Just
correct?
like when we came here a few weeks ago when you guys were here, we're hearing it going, crap, we're
Okay.
hearing.
So, you're, pardon the French, Colonel, but you're here with the horse's mouth. Okay, you've got the two new ones here. You guys are the only ones in the room. Sit down, talk with these guys, have a conversation with them. Find out what they're about. Then get behind them.
Hey, here's the thing right now. I agree with that. I do. If what's happened now though is that broken, so we have two options here, right? To fix the broken family, okay, right? To fix it somehow, bring them back. Like talking to the leadership that you reduce from command or relieve from command, but you are still here as leaders, right, potentially, and direct them in a way that says, hey, these are objectives that you guys were missing for whatever time frame you were missing them, and let's have benchmarks. You two can stay in command and say, you guys are here for X time, and once they meet these benchmarks, leadership
Well,
can.
that's on their side of the house. Okay, that's between them and Colonel Plum. You guys, honestly, and no offense, you have no say in that.
I get that.
Okay?
What-
But what you can do though, is go, hey, I met with the new command. They are great guys, they're solid people. Out there in the community, go back to the banquet and start saying that. And then you'll start turning the heads.
No, I understand there's a parents meeting next week, and I have goals for the unit. There's a reward called the Quality Cadet Unit Award. Nice thing is, it's a set of 10 goals that every squadron cadet composite, I'm not gonna get into the details of what that is, but every unit gets to. That is what I base most squadrons off. I'm pretty sure you do the same thing with your squadron. The wing also adopts that for every squadron as their wing goals. Everybody hits these. Right now, we only hit 2 of the 10 right now. I can show it, I can bring it up if you really want me to. I don't think I need to. You can actually see it if you go to Civil Patrol. I go to catmembers.com is where I go and I type in QUCA, means